public affairs really encompasses two specific areas of research at Ipsos. One is what we call social research, and the other is corporate reputation. Social research, which is the bulk of the work that we do, is really research for governments, doing things like, for example, program evaluation, communications research, and other types of activities for governments, and we do it in 30 countries around the world. But also, probably what we're best known for is our political polling. And we do a lot of political polling around the world. Most recently in the US national election, where Trent lives. I happen to be Canadian, but Canadians and Americans sound the same, so I have to tell you that. But where we were the most accurate polling company in the US presidential election. We're quite proud of that. But this is actually the third time that we've been able to achieve that. So this is a combination of doing research on politics, public policy, and ultimately on corporate reputation. And it's corporate reputation that we're here to talk to you about today. So let's move on here. So we're Ipsos is obviously a global research company, and you're seeing many elements of our global activities today. We have about 16,000 researchers in 86 countries, a full-service research provider, and we are a worldwide leader in corporate reputation research and feedback. Okay. Companies that we've done corporate reputation research for, and this is somewhat of a restricted list. We do about, what would you say, Trent, about $28 million a year, or 20 million euros a year in corporate reputation research. So these are some of our bigger clients where we're very engaged in helping them manage their reputation with a variety of stakeholders around the world. When we do research on corporate reputation, it's really not just about going out and interviewing the general population or even your customers. We look at all these groups. There's a kind of what Trent came up with, the idea of this circle of influence, people who actually influence the reputation of your organization. Everybody from consumers, non-government organizations, business leaders, local communities, employees, business leaders, consumers, government, the financial community. We can go out and be doing interviewing on just about anybody. But really it's about having a 360 perspective on all the different groups that can affect your reputation. And reputation, when we talk about it, isn't really something that you just use for a rainy day. Often you hear this from people who do corporate reputation research is, you know, what you want to do is you want to build a good reputation because if there's a crisis, you want to be able to do what we call yes, but. And what we mean by yes, but is when somebody comes out and attacks your organization, that people care enough about what your organization's about and they trust you enough that you'll be at least prepared to listen to what the answer is. So if you're an organization that's under attack, you at least have the ability to get back into the conversation. But one of the things that we've discovered through doing our corporate reputation research around the world is it's much more active than that. Corporate reputation, if you have a good one, is something that you can use every day in your business to reduce what we call headwinds. And that's by headwinds, we mean issues that are emerging that you could be confronting. Next, you can improve your marketing efficiency, and Trent's going to talk a little bit about that. And also, it provides you with an opportunity to have an open dialogue with your stakeholders. If you have a good corporate reputation, even if you're in a bad industry, you still get a voice in the conversation. And ultimately, that's what it's about, having a voice in a conversation so you can present your point of view and maybe blunt some of those attacks that could come your way. But more importantly, it also has all of these impacts in terms of your marketing capability to really help your organization achieve its business objectives. Traditional reputation research, and I don't know how many of you are familiar with reputation research, but traditionally what we tended to do in reputation research was really future value oriented. It was the idea, as I said before, that if there was a crisis that was coming up, potentially at some point you'd be able to do that yes, but that I was talking about. You'd be able to participate in the conversation. Had a very narrow industry focus. It tended to be really focused on what I would call extractive or resource-based industries. People who worked in very highly regulated environments were always worried about their reputation. People who worked in, say for example, packaged goods, rarely worried about it. Finally, it would also tend to be backward looking. I think some of the worst examples I've seen in terms of corporate reputation are people who just do it so they can get a number every year so they can build it into some sort of a plan. Really, it's just a measurement exercise, what we call a rear view mirror, looking as to what happened over the previous year, but really didn't have anything that was going to give you a sense of how you could manage your reputation to improve it in the future. And Trent and I and others in our organization who work on corporate reputation felt that we could do better. And this is kind of the approach that we took. We said that it had a wider impact in terms of the impact on your organization, that it had a present value, that there was marketing efficiency. Ultimately, reputation is about trust. And if you can improve your trust, it makes it more likely that people will watch your advertising and buy your product. It costs you less to market your products if you have a good reputation. It improves your employee retention. Nobody wants to work for a bad company, regardless of how much you get paid in some instances. People like to be proud of the organizations that they work for. So if you've got a good reputation, that gives you an ability to hang on to your staff. And really important these days, when one of the most global things that's occurring these days is the transfer of employees from country to country to country, as we go through these different patterns of immigration that are taking place worldwide. India being a large source of immigration, for example, for countries like Canada and the United States. And it gives you an ability to weigh in on issues credibly. And what I mean by that is when a general conversation starts about a particular issue, if your organization is seen as being trustworthy by the public, that's an invitation for you to participate in conversations about issues. There's a wider audience view. It's about consumers, it's about employees, and it's about all those stakeholders that we were talking about before. It also has a forward-looking element. Yes, you want to be able to plan for the future, but it's something that you should also be using today and now. And finally, you can triangulate reputation with social context and communications effectiveness.